Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Aquarius and your moon in Virgo. Virgo and Aquarius form what is known as an inconjunction, which is a 150-degree angle that is super awkward. Basically, you look at the elements of the signs involved in the inconjunction and you can get a feel for where the awkwardness is. In this case, we're talking about air and earth. But truth be told, I actually can find common ground between these two elements. One of them is a desire for logic. In the case of Aquarius, it's the mental realms. Now, Virgo, as the moon sign, it's supposed to be the emotional nature, but Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So there's an intellectual component of that, and Virgo is an earth sign. So it isn't emotional in the traditional way. I have the moon in Virgo myself, although my sun is in Sagittarius, it's not in Aquarius. But the moon in Virgo is very, is very strange for emotional affairs because, and for intuitive things, because like what I'm doing right now is an intuitive type of activity, and yet my mind is always analyzing. So even if I'm talking about something spiritual, I'm always picking it apart analytically, and that is not conducive for what intuitive matters entail. So one of the things that I have learned to do is to pay attention to what comes into my mind when I'm maybe dealing with a client, or if I'm doing a tarot reading. Like if something comes into my mind, rather than waiting on that and analyzing it silently and then saying something, I'll just blurt it out. And I'm kind of bypassing the intellect, because intelligence and intuition are not synonymous, or the intellect and the intuition are not synonymous. And with Aquarius, this is the scientist, but it's the mad scientist, really, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is this very unpredictable energy. It can be kind of like a crackpot, oddball type of a thing. But the crackpots and the oddballs are the ones who make their mark on history, not the people that are conformists going along with the program. These are the innovators. Aquarius is a sign of the inventor. And so this combination can produce somebody who is highly intelligent and highly analytical. Neither one of these signs is what we would call the typical attention getter. Like the opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, and Leo is known for being very flashy. But there are other signs that are kind of loud and brash, the other fire signs. Leo, Sagittarius, Gemini and Libra are very, very personable and friendly. I guess that's personable, and just chatting away. Aquarius can be friendly, but in an aloof way. And so if you have any tendencies towards being a bit full of yourself, which I think that Virgo is a very humble sign, and Aquarius tends to really believe in the equality of all people. So there's a certain humility in that type of attitude. The only area that I could really see you kind of getting puffed up about is your intellect. You might be a know-it-all. And I've read, that being mentioned about Aquarians is that they're know-it-alls. And what this can do in the more shadow aspect of this is make the person feel that they are intellectually superior and kind of look down on other people as not being as bright as they are. In a certain sense, they may be 100% correct, that they are more intelligent than the average person. And although the Aquarian doesn't necessarily know this, some of that can actually be intuitive gifts. But for some people with this combination, if their intuition is blocked for some reason, if they have been very, very indoctrinated with academic crap, they may have a tendency to go that route. And then they can be so skeptical in some cases about even spiritual things. And I was thinking about this with me having the moon in Virgo myself, is that even as an astrologer, I remember walking in one time to the spiritual center that I would frequent, and someone said, "Oh, wow, gosh, that Mercury retrograde is really kicking my ass," or something like that. And I remember inside feeling this sense of aversion and kind of internally rolling my eyes like, "Oh, you really believe in that?" Now, this is me being an astrologer. And it's just like, even though I'm an astrologer, there are times when I am a skeptic. Does that mean that someone who practices astrology, does astrological readings, is not believing in the thing that they're doing? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that a person with the moon in Virgo, and I would say somebody with the sun in Aquarius, that combination could really produce that, can be very skeptical about things, while at the same time, kind of saying, "Okay, but I really do like this thing, so I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater." And I think that that's a balanced approach, actually. I don't think that there's anything contradictory about it. I just think that there are some people who are very deeply, they believe things at the core level. And I'd love to be one of those people, but I haven't found anything that I can't, find a flaw in. Remember that Virgo can be the perfectionist. When someone has the moon in Virgo, they can be very hard on themselves because they are, expecting themselves to do everything right. Well, that is kind of the trap that can be laid early on, and I would say especially with the mother, because the moon can represent the mother. So you may have had a mother who was overly critical of you, and then you internalize that and you took over, from her, and you may do that to yourself. With Aquarius sun, I think that can be lessened, because Aquarius is very impersonal, even towards itself. So, there's that detachment. So you might be like, "Okay, whatever, This combination, I feel, has to find some way to access its heart, the fourth chakra, the heart chakra, because the Aquarius can be in that, maybe the sixth chakra, the seventh chakra, like way up in the ethers, And Virgo, maybe in the fifth chakra, the communication center, I don't know. But certainly, um, when you're dealing with other people, especially a significant other, you have to be able to tune into them emotionally. You can't dissect a rose. That's so the reason I said that is that this is not a romantic combination. And that could be a stumbling block for someone who wants a relationship, is that you may feel super awkward. You might be kind of geeky with this combination. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that you might just be very cerebral, but you don't really know how to kind of like flirt or things like that. Look to your Venus sign to see where that's at. That's going to be close to your sun sign. So, for instance, an Aquarius person can have their Venus in Aquarius, they can have it in Pisces, and they can have it in Capricorn. If it is in Pisces, that can give you a bit of a more romantic nature in spite of yourself. I'll just talk briefly about what kind of requirements you may have for a relationship, and then I'll talk about possible careers. In terms of relationship, I think that the intellectual attraction is first and foremost. So who knows? Maybe you meet this person online. Aquarius is connected to technology. And so for some reason, I'm thinking about gamers, meeting each other there. And that's perfectly fine. People have gotten married after maybe meeting on some message board or what have you. And actually, I think that with people who are cerebral, the physical appearance can be a distraction, and you may be honing in on that mental attraction. So, in a sense, interestingly enough, meeting online might be right up your alley. Now, in terms of like what you expect from a relationship, well, it's hard to just say it from these two placements, but what I would say is Aquarius definitely is not necessarily looking for a white picket fence and the conventional relationship. I'm not saying that you can't possibly have one, but it's not something that you are adamant about. Especially if you have Venus in Aquarius as well. You may even favor an open relationship. And I believe that the younger generations are more attuned to this anyway. So if you're younger than a Gen Xer like me, then this may be pretty much the norm. I'm a pretty nosy person, I'll confess. And I sometimes when I'm out at a cafe, I'll overhear some people talking, and I'll kind of, I want to listen if it's an interesting conversation. I heard these people who are probably in their 20s, and they were talking about, I think they were talking about, having sex, but it was like group sex or something. But they were like so matter of fact about it. So it's like this polyamory of this open relationship. And these kinds of things can be very complicated, convoluted, if the emotions get engaged. I wonder if this is why some people that are more detached find themselves attracted to those setups, because it gives them more variety. They don't have to like really just stay with the same person all the time. They can kind of rotate. but it's done in an above board way. And of course, open relationships aren't necessarily polyamory. I mean, they're all different kinds of things. But a lot of people say, no way could I be involved in that because there's too much of an emotional, tug of war. But that's only for people that really, get strongly involved in that. Maybe somebody like you requires an unconventional setup. Maybe. But even if you want to just have a monogamous relationship, you definitely want to have somebody that is mentally compatible. You might even find yourself attracted to people, like someone is attracted to them physically, like you find the mind sexy, how they communicate, their level of expertise on a certain topic that you happen to be interested in. All of those things you could find very attractive, romantically speaking. In terms of the type of careers that you might be interested in, I don't typically talk about the moon sign as part of this. But I would say that anything in the educational field, particularly, I would say in the advanced or the higher education, college, university, whatever. Also, science. With the moon in Virgo, you may have an intuitive understanding of the natural world. And strangely enough, astrology. Astrology is actually connected to Aquarius. I have Aquarius at my midheaven, so that makes a lot of sense. Now, Virgo loves classification, putting things into different categories, labeling. So that's perfect for astrology. I've got the moon in Virgo, sun in Aquarius. That's the kind of thing that Virgo people would love. It's very nice and neat, these categories. I actually think energy healing, I always associate Reiki with a sign like Aquarius because Aquarius is connected to electricity, and I feel like those types of energy healings, it's like the electrical currents that are coming out of the palms and stuff like that. And because Virgo rules the house of health, the 6th house in astrology, and the moon is connected to health, I think people with the moon in Virgo are naturally interested in health and healing. And it's a form of healing that doesn't involve drugs. And that's up Virgo's alley too, to be natural. I feel that this combination cares about their fellow man, that they are people who are, I would categorize Aquarius as a progressive sign. And Virgo is a sign that I associate with wanting to help people. So when you combine that, the Aquarian with the moon in Virgo wants to make the world a better place. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.